Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, with some people claiming that it was rigged because many people bet a lot of money and they lost a lot of money. Allegedly, there's this script that got leaked showing how the fight was supposed to go down between Mike Tyson and Jake.
Netflix has sued Mike Tyson and Jake Paul over their highly hyped fight, which many fans are calling a scripted circus. After 6 months of anticipation, viewers were disappointed with an outcome that felt staged. More like a reality TV finale than a legitimate boxing match. It was painfully obvious.
Versus Jake Paul just got Netflix sued. People got big problems.
What's the plan to fix this? The damage is done. You've not only tarnished your own reputations, but dragged down the entire sport of boxing with
Got there through business, and I get that. For people like me who value what boxing is supposed to be about, right? The reason I had a whinge about Tyson Fury not fighting the best that time, I care about.
The anticipation was palpable, as many imagined the moment when Tyson would knock Paul out, leaving him contemplating a comeback video in the YouTube comments section. It was a fight everyone wanted to see. What we witnessed wasn't really a fight but a circus. A scripted, glitchy disaster that left us questioning Netflix's sincerity. It was obvious something was off when the most anticipated punches of the decade barely landed, leaving fans wondering if they thought we were all born yesterday. It was disappointing. Let's talk about the payouts. Jake Paul walked away with a staggering $40 million for this so-called showdown, while Mike Tyson, the man who once built a legendary career with his fists, settled for a mere $20 million. It's as if Tyson discarded his legacy like last season's sweater for a quick cash grab. Just a few staged punches and boom, instant payday. This raises serious questions about sports, money, and dignity. Meanwhile, Netflix rakes in eyeballs, pay-per-view revenue, and viral attention, leaving us to wonder if they truly care about sports at all. Forget about The Witcher or Stranger Things. Their latest hit seems to be a masterclass in how to monetize fake fights.
Getting a payday and nothing else. And from the highlights, using that word real loosey-goosey, that I watched of it, there wasn't even really much of a fight there.
The whole event felt like a terrible reality show. You could tell it was scripted, yet you couldn't look away. Netflix clearly doesn't care. They've got us glued to our screens, waiting to see what circus act they'll roll out next. Who needs real sports when fake fights can rake in views? Nice job, Netflix. You've truly mastered cashing in on a disaster. And now they act like they had no part in it? Really? Did they not realize Tyson and Jake Paul were just playing a little let's pretend for a paycheck? It's hard to believe they didn't see this coming. Fans immediately sensed something was off. The glitches, the lack of impactful punches, and the strange energy in the air. It wasn't just bad streaming. It felt like a poorly written soap opera. Instead of tears, the audience was filled with outrage, frustrated by the whole spectacle and its lack of authenticity. Fans had eagerly awaited this moment for months, only to be met with a poorly executed, possibly staged mess that left viewers hurling popcorn at the screen. Now, as Netflix tries to deflect blame onto Tyson and Paul, fans aren't buying it. Cue the lawsuit, as the live event becomes a corporate disaster. Trust me, the popcorn isn't the only thing getting thrown around. If the script didn't unfold as planned, it raises the question of whether this whole thing was a setup. Netflix has now sued Mike Tyson and Jake Paul for the scripted fight, and honestly, it's well-deserved. Mike Tyson, a legend who once instilled fear with his punches, finds himself dragged into this mess alongside a YouTuber who thinks boxing means throwing a few slow punches for cash. It's a disservice to the sport and to Tyson's legacy, highlighting the absurdity of blending genuine competition with entertainment gimmicks.
Citing over 100,000 people complaining online, the lawsuit claimed that the boxing fans along with
Tyson, my friend, you were a legend. What happened? You tossed aside your incredible history like an old, worn-out sweater you couldn't even be bothered to donate. And then there's Jake Paul, a guy who believes that getting punched for a living is a legitimate career. If there were any justice in the world, both of you should be sued for ruining the sport of boxing. It's disheartening to see such icons reduced to this spectacle. So, What's the real reason Mike Tyson and Jake Paul turned their fight into a Showtime circus? It's simple: money. Tyson, a man who once made millions by intimidating opponents, found himself in the ring again, all for a fat paycheck from Netflix. It's all about the cash, not the legacy. Jake Paul, the guy who built a career as a YouTube villain while punching people for a living, has really blurred the lines of boxing. Seriously, Jake, what are you doing? You're making millions by pretending to be a boxer, cashing in on nonsense that undermines the sport. But here's the real issue. In their quest for a quick payday, both Tyson and Paul have made a mockery of real sports. This wasn't about putting on a genuine show. It was about doing the bare minimum and getting away with it. Netflix likely told them to just pretend it's a fight and that nobody would care. But we care. We watch Tyson, whose greatest skill now seems to be making viral videos, while Jake Paul is the guy who needs a script to beat up an old man. That's a low point for boxing, and it undermines the sport's integrity. With script leaks and conspiracy theories swirling, everyone is questioning the authenticity of the fight. Was it even real? Are Netflix and its partners just in the business of faking everything? The outrage is palpable as fans grapple with the idea that entertainment has overshadowed the integrity of genuine competition. Well, Tyson and Paul certainly opened a can of worms, all for a quick payday. Bravo, guys. You've turned boxing into a joke and cashed in on it. And now you're facing a $50 million lawsuit for your trouble. Guess what? You totally earned it. Not only was the fight a bust, but Netflix also failed miserably and now must contend with the fallout. The lesson here is clear. Don't promise us a fight and deliver a nightmare. When people pay for an event, they expect genuine competition, not a scripted circus. This debacle has left fans feeling betrayed and frustrated. The public reaction was downright ugly. If Netflix thought they could slide by unnoticed, they were in for a rude awakening. Fans didn't just express their anger on Twitter. They were ready to burn down the internet over the fiasco. The fight was a disaster, the glitches laughable, and it became hard to tell if we were watching a boxing match or a poorly scripted Netflix original. People were left questioning, is this real, or did Netflix decide to create another disaster movie? Spoiler alert, it wasn't even good enough for that. Then came the social media storm. Fans unleashed their fury faster than Netflix's buffering icon, labeling the whole event everything from a joke to the worst sporting event ever. Questions swirled. Was the fight even real? Or were we all just pawns in some bizarre Netflix reality show? This debacle has left viewers feeling manipulated and frustrated, craving authenticity in a world that feels increasingly scripted. Influencers were quick to plan how to monetize the disaster. At least someone was profiting from the mess. If this is the future of boxing, where every fight is a scripted spectacle, fans might just start punching their own TVs in frustration. Authenticity in the sport feels increasingly lost. This lawsuit could be a game changer for Netflix
the most
and
hated
every
guy
other streaming platform.
walking into
If
a
it
ring.
sticks, it might
What's
open
it
the
like
floodgates
fighting
for more
someone
lawsuits
that's hated
every
even
time
more
Netflix
than you are?
messes up a live event. Imagine millions of fans,
crew cut truck built
popcorn in
by
hand,
Gas Monkey
ready to watch
Garage.
the next big thing,
Full
only to
hydraulic
have their stream
lowrider with
freeze
12
mid-punch.
inches of
Do you
suspension.
think they'll just shrug it off? Not a chance. Netflix could be facing serious legal headaches in the future. And what about the implications for boxing itself? Will the audience even care about authenticity anymore? Or will they just tune in for the next train wreck? His balance seemed off as he struggled to contemplate the future of celebrity boxing and pay-per-view events. Buckle up, because if this is the new trend, we're about to witness an entire generation of athletes more famous for being famous than for actually knowing how to throw a punch. Expect to see more big-name celebrities cashing in on glorified slap fights, where the real competition is overshadowed by who has the best script, the juiciest drama, and the flashiest pay-per-view numbers. Real athletes are being sidelined, replaced by YouTube stars who can barely remember their own punchlines. When will audiences wake up to the fact that they're just watching actors in gloves? As genuine talent gets drowned out by this staged nonsense, will anyone care about the authenticity of sports anymore? Are we heading toward a world where we must Google, "Is this fight real?" before every match? If Netflix doesn't clean up its act quickly, this could be just the beginning of a much larger mess. As for boxing, who knows? The next so-called real fight might be just as scripted as this one. We could be facing a future where the only genuine thing in the ring is the sweat on the fighter's brows, and even that might be CGI.